So you're a man now. I've taken lives, and I've taken my own life in my hands and trusted a friend with it. Yes, sir, I'd say that makes me a man. Neither makes you a man. The first makes you a killer. The second makes you a fool. And either may get you killed. What's up, bookworms? I am Mike, and today we're going to be talking about the second book in the Lightbringer series, The Blinding Knife by Brent Weeks. I have been reading one of these books per month leading up to the release of the fifth and final volume of the series, The Burning White, releasing this October. The Blinding Knife was for July, and I'll be starting the third volume titled The Broken Eye in about a week or so for August. If this is your first time finding the channel, I explain that all of my book reviews are spoiler heavy. However, due to feedback from constant watchers, I was told that folks want to be sold on some of these books. So now I'm going to start doing the first half of the review non-spoiler and then get into spoilers at the end after I let you know I'm going to start them. So I also do Let's Discuss segments. Those are completely spoiler free, but all my book reviews, even with this added layer, I will be going over key points in the plot. And if it's a series, the books that came before that are also on the table. So if you have not read Black Prism or Blinding Knife, watch up until they tell you that there are spoilers, then bookmark the video, come back after you do so. And with that said, let's get into it. This book takes place about a handful of days after where Black Prism ended. Waste no time really getting back into this world that Weeks has built so wonderfully. This intense magic system that he's created based off of the visible spectrum of colors. It gets even more development in this, and I mean, there's still some stuff that's being built upon, and that's fine. It doesn't hurt anything, not understanding this magic system right away. Just getting a little bit more each book, it really makes sense. I actually made myself a little chart, showing what each color specifically does. But there's still so much more they can build off of, and Kip gets a little less to go around with in this book than the last one. But there's zero filler, which is amazing because this is a big book. But there's zero filler this time. Everything that happens to him has a huge meaning, huge payoff, and it makes sense. It makes sense why everything is there, even if you're questioning yourself while it's going on. Weeks introduced a card game in this called Nine Kings. That's kind of like a Magic the Gathering or Gwent if you're in The Witcher. And you just think, this Weeks, is he just being a big tabletop card game nerd or something? But when it hits the payoff, you understand why it's there, and it's fantastic. The relationship between Kip and his grandfather Andros, those are some of the best chapters in the book, and honestly, I wanted more of them. They were spectacular. But Gavin gets the largest portion of time in this book, I believe, and it's with good reason. We see him struggle but grow in this book more than the last one. He's becoming a true leader. He's taking responsibility for a large group of refugees, trying to get them settled into a new place to live. And he's also battling a lot of personal demons, specifically about his family and his brothers. I'll just say I'm not much of what you would call a shipper. I think that's what they're called. I don't usually need specific characters in fiction to get together. I'm not really like that. I feel like romances that are forced are just that. They're forced, and I don't feel like I need them. But I am all in on Gavin and Karis for this entire book. And I mean, the whole time, I just want to see these two cut the shit and work it out. I'm here for it. And there's a lot of development there. There's also a new character introduced called Janice. I don't know if it's Janice or Giannis. I said Janice when I read it. Janice Borg. She shows some things to Kip, and she's a delightful character. Her chapters are a lot of fun. I'm really being vague here because I don't know what I'm going to spoil or not. Tia is also a new character, new POV character. I'll get into her a little bit more in spoilers because I don't really know how to talk about her without spoiling anything, except that she plays really well off of Kip. Liv is the one that really I think gets shortchanged in this book, and I think that's because they want to kind of keep the the presumed villain of this series, Lord Omnichrome. God, I love that name. They more frequently call him the Color Prince. But I think they want to keep him kind of ominous. Weeks wants to keep him kind of ominous and in the background, so you don't get too much of him. But I mean, you do get some time with him, and you see what a real bastard he is. In the last book, I said, it's one of those things where you can kind of see why Liv was taken in, but a lot of the things he was saying made sense. The other side doing stuff because of things. God, non-spoilers is hard. That seems a bit extreme. So you can see why Liv went to that side, but. He does some things in this where you're like, yeah, I think you might be on the wrong side, girlfriend. But, he's still a big question mark. We don't know a lot about him. The new character in that camp is a young man named Zyman. He spends a lot of time with Liv, showing her some things. And again, I'm trying to be as bare bones as I can here without spoilers, guys. But like the last book, this one, it has action, it has mystery, it has adventure. The politics are turned to 11 this go around, so if you're into that kind of thing, it's there for you. There's a scene with Gavin and the political maneuvering that would make a Washington politician blush at the amount of undercutting that gets done. But in the end, man, I love this book just as much as the first one, maybe more. And if you recall, I said that Black Prism was the best book one of a new fantasy series I had read since The Blade itself by Joe Abercrombie. I mean, this world that Weeks has created is just incredible, and I want to spend so much time here. His level of writing has improved so much since the Night Angel trilogy that I may now be a fan for life. No matter what he puts out after the series, I'll probably pick up. Because these first two books have been so good, I truly wonder why I have not heard more about this series from the fantasy community. I mean, yeah, it has a following. But I think it's even smaller than the following that there is with the First Law. I hear about Night Angel all the time, way more than this series, and that just seems unfair because this is worlds better. So unless the next couple of books really just drop off, this is going to be a very, very highly ranked fantasy series for me when it's all done, and I implore you to pick up book one today and give it a go. Read along with me because they are so good. And dare I say it, they feel almost on par with something as complex and well detailed as the Stormlight Archive. And if you know me, you know that's extremely high praise since I called Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive the next Lord of the Rings. So do I recommend this book? Obviously. Immediately. Pick up Black Prism. Dive right in. Now with that said, I'm going to start spoilers now. So if you have not read Black Prism and The Blinding Knife, bookmark this video. Come back after you finish reading it because spoilers are going to start in 3, 2, 1. Now, so Gavin is away taking care of the Garrison refugees, and he doesn't realize that Dazen has. I'm going to keep calling them their new names. I'm not going to get back and forth with this. So Gavin is the one acting as Prism right now, and Dazen is the one in prison. One's the Prism, one's in prison. That's not confusing either. That's for this review. That's what I'm doing. I'm not. If you're saying like, oh, you got it backwards. Yes, I know that. But anyway, Dazen he's broken out of the first blue prison, and he's fell into the second yellow prison. It might have been the yellow. I believe it was the yellow. But since no alarm was triggered, his room slave continues to send Dazen the bread that has dyed blue. This gives him enough drafting power to break out of that prison as well. But by the time Gavin gets back and decides to go down to prison, of which Dazen has made it to a third room now, the two have an intense debate. And I'm thinking to myself before this scene, when Dazen finally gets out of here, he's going to be a uncaged animal because they've teased this for so long, him getting closer, and not getting out. Talking to that dead man. I'm like, okay, when he gets out, there's going to be hell to pay. I can't wait for him to. I think my exact words were, I can't wait for him to inevitably get out. Let's just say 10 pages later, I got the rug pulled out from underneath me because by the time Gavin decides to go down there and talk to him, and they have a really, really heated discussion, and boom, just like that, when you think that Gavin's about to let him out, he shoots him in the fucking head. I mean, I could not believe it. Killing off a POV character this early in the series, completely unexpected and well played. I mean, it was. I seriously had to put I'm sitting there like that, like I could not believe this. It was amazing. I was just stunned. And if Weeks can pull the rug out on me like that, a book and a half into a series, this is something special, y'all. Meanwhile, you got Kip. He's going to go in his Blackguard training, and he befriends another student there named Tia, who becomes our new POV character. And I was kind of iffy on Tia for most of the book, but she grew on me over time. The big deal was that Andros Guile. Now he takes an interest in his bastard grandson. You find out why later, but he challenges him to play these games of Nine Kings. And I was thinking, okay, is Weeks trying to sell some tabletop card game he was promoting or something? Because, yeah, this is feeling really nerdy, man. I don't know what the hell this is. But once he introduces Janice and she starts teaching Kip how to use these cards and how to view the flashbacks of those cards, who's on the cards, it got really, really good. And it really, to me, this is not an insult at all, it felt like something out of Harry Potter. And I mean that in the best way. I love Harry Potter, so if you're take that as an insult, that's a you thing, not a me thing. I love Harry Potter. I felt like the best parts of something from Harry Potter, and I was sad to see Janice go so soon. I really liked her, but these grimdark books, that's what happens. Don't get too attached to so many characters, right? But this all ties together later when Kip finally beats Andros at a game and he gets the rights to Tia's slave ownership from him. And Kip does the right thing and he offers to free her, even if he was being a little horny 15-year-old there for a minute, and thinking how nice it would be to bed her, and how he's so fat and ugly, no woman's ever gonna want to bed him. This might be his only chance or whatever. Which, by the way, Weeks, we get it. Kip's fat. You ain't got to tell me every page. You're getting like Stephen King levels of body dysmorphia here. But also, you got to realize that when that happens, it is from Kip's point of view, and he's obviously very self-conscious about his body, so it makes sense. So that's not really a real criticism of the writing. That was just... Anyway, Liv, she just keeps falling deeper and deeper into the darkness. She's shacking up with Simon. She's screwing around with him now. I did not see that coming. And he's a real piece of work. But, Omnicron, this dude is flinging old ladies via catapult into castle walls and stuff. And, she rebukes her father's letter, asking her to come home. She casts Ultraviolet and says, get away with it, who cares? It's sinister shit, man. But during the last fight in this book, you see Kip using this knife. The blinding knife, maybe? Using the knife that his mother gave him. And when he stabs some of these giants with it, they revert to human form, with all the Luxin, being drained from their bodies. And after the fight ends, he realizes from one of the visions on one of the Nine Kings cards that Andros is a red-white. I think I kind of gathered that, the way he's just always staying in the dark. I don't know. I feel like I get surprised by just about everything in here. So, hey, I got one right. All right, cool. But, there's a struggle, and he ends up stabbing Andros in the shoulder, I think, or the arm with the dagger. And Gavin actually ends up being run through Bryant and as he tries to break it up. And I think at one point he's actually considering killing Kip to get the knife before Andros can. So that's such a... Kip's still got Gavin's still got some darkness in there for sure. And, he actually said earlier in the thing that when we talking with Karis that Kip don't matter, and so I mean there's a lot of growth still to go there, even though I feel like he treats Kip just fine when he's around him. It's very clear that he would let Kip go for something minor if it came down to it. But he gets run through with a dagger and he falls off the ship. Kip dives in after him, and then they are picked up by Gunner. Now Gunner, you've seen some like journal pages of his about after his ship got sank by Gavin in book 1. And if you remember, Gavin actually spared this guy in the first book because he considered him an artist or something like that, because he's such a natural shooter. But they realize who Gavin is, and Kip, whatever, they just throw him back overboard. So Gavin then realizes that he is colorblind, his powers are useless, and they plan to make him a rowing slave. I just watched The Last Kingdom where that happens, and that's all I could think of. Good comparison. Kip is picked up by Simon. He reveals that Kip is his half-brother, with Gavin being his father and Karis being his mother. And I was thinking earlier in the book, they planted those seeds in book 1 about her having a kid that would be about Kip's age, but you knew it wasn't going to be Kip. And I kept thinking, okay, her teenage kid's going to show up eventually in this series. I just, much like with the Dazen thing, I didn't expect it in book 2, you know. So never did I think it was going to be Simon, you know. And I did skip over, by the way, where Gavin and Karis finally had the reunion and got married. You know, after I gushed about it in the intro. It was extremely well done, and I'm not gonna lie, I was grinning like a teenage girl reading a Twilight book. Just beautiful dialogue. It really made you believe that these two are just sick in love with each other. I didn't write down any of the dialogue. Like I usually write down some of the quotes. I wasn't near. It was so good I couldn't put it down. I wasn't gonna stop to go write something down. So maybe I'll use some for the intro for this video or something like that. I don't know. I'm sure I left a lot of things out of this review, guys. I left out like Gavin pulling some House of Cards bullshit and you know, political moves. Tia hearing some strange voice saying this is the way right when she was about to be killed in the final battle. Don't know what that's all about. I left out all the Iron Fist backstory, which was very, very good. I left out the whole third eye. Guys, it's a really large book. Really large, and I try to keep these videos under 20 minutes because people will just tune out if you go too long on some of these. But I loved it. I cannot wait to read more. You know, the next one is called The Broken Eye, and that is a meaty bastard. Look at that. Good grief, that's huge. I thought this book was big, and I think this one's like 200 pages longer. But the thing is, it's like it's so easy to read that you can't stop. I read this in like 8 days, and that's at home with the wife and kids, you know, over the summer. I found that much time to finish reading this book. So like I said, I loved it. I can't wait to read more. Broken Eye, I'm sure we're going to deal with this group of assassins they've been teasing, the Order of the Broken Eye, and I'm completely here for it. I mean, that feels like, I don't know if any of you guys played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but it feels like that whole secret society kind of thing in there. And that was really cool. Really cool game, by the way. I think that's a lot of what it sounds like to me, even up to the cloaks and stuff. So, yeah, I'm here for that. Does Kip try to find and rescue Gavin? You know, what exactly did the third eye see and tell Corvin that had him completely just in tears? I mean, more than just exactly, you know, Karis said she told me exactly when you were going to die. And the way Karis was freaking out in the last battle, I'm thinking that he avoided that. And this was something completely different. So I don't know. There's lots of loose threads still hanging, and I'm completely confident that the payoff is going to be wonderful because it seems like Weeks really took his time with these to get them right. And I don't know. They could be longer, in my opinion, and it looks like they're going to be. I've talked to some fans who, you know, non-spoiler, have told me that book 4 kind of fell off a little bit, but obviously it was just because the first 3 books were so damn good. So I don't know. I don't care. I'm gonna keep reading for sure, no matter what happens. I'm excited for a book 5 coming out in a couple of months, less than 100 days here, and I haven't even read books 3 or 4 yet. That just tells you how highly I am taking this series now, because I did not expect to be enjoying this nearly as much as I did, because like I said, I don't hear about it. I rarely hear about this series at all. And if it wasn't for a friend of mine, we made a deal that if he would read the first law, I would read this. I don't think I would have picked it up, at least not anytime soon, because like I said in a previous video, I didn't care for Night Angel, so I thought maybe Weeks' writing style just wasn't for me. Night and day difference. Fantastic book. I can't wait to keep going. As for my schedule, I'm finishing up book 2 of the Broken Empire trilogy right now by Mark Lawrence. That's King of Thorns. Then I'm going to hit Sharp Ends by Joe Abercrombie. It's the First Law short story collection as we ramp up towards the release of the first book in his sequel trilogy landing in September, and then The Broken Eye. So be on the lookout for those videos very soon. The best way to do that is to help me out by hitting that subscribe button. The channel is growing. We hit that first goal of 500 subscribers. I never expected to even do that, so hopefully my videos can pop up at a basic search now. I've set a new goal of 750 by the end of 2019. I like to think that's a realistic goal. We'll see. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, leave a comment, please subscribe, check out the other content on the channel, share these videos. I do a book review or a Let's Discuss segment every single week. We do a live show that we broadcast live on here and I podcast later for on iTunes or Spotify, where we just talk about the everything relevant that happened in the past week in pop culture, like we just did our San Diego Comic-Con review last week. It's called Geek Media Core. I'll link it in the comments. So please hit subscribe, share this with your friends, and I will talk to you guys soon.